Hey, you guys. Hey, I wanted to talk about studying today. We as teachers tell our students to go home all the time and go study your materials. And I think a lot of students just don't know what that even means. They don't know what it looks like, and they don't know if there's a trick to it or if it's magic or whatever it is. The truth is, studying looks different for every person, and studying looks different for every subject. You don't study math the same way you study social studies. You don't study physical science the way you necessarily study language arts. So what I'd like to do today is give you some tips and hacks that will help you study for every class. I like to call this study smarter, not harder. So what do you study? Oftentimes, your teacher will give you a study guide that will be your roadmap to the test. Sometimes it looks like this. This is going to cover a good percentage of what's on the test. It's going to cover concepts and vocabulary and anything else that you might need to know, and it's a really, really good starting point. What I'm going to do is give you some techniques to help you study those things. The first one is good old-fashioned flashcards. I'm not talking about anything digital. I'm talking about good old-fashioned paper and pen flashcards. These are great. These can help you remember definitions, concepts, formulas, theories, patterns, times tables, all sorts of things. You could even organize them by theme or organize them by topic or create a mind map with them. One of the main things that you shouldn't do is memorize them in order. That will always mess you up. Hey, speaking of mind maps, mind mapping is a great way to study a concept. You can map out the concept or theme or ideas with words or doodles or colors. Take it a step further by explaining how the concepts are connected. If you're an artist or someone who thinks visually, maybe draw a picture of what you're studying. Mnemonics are great too to help remember concepts or the order of things. For example, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally and my very educated mom just served us noodles. So what about highlighting? My students love to highlight, but unless you're really good at finding the topic sentence, the main ideas, the vocabulary, the concepts you need, you might end up going from something that looks like this to something that looks like this. While this is very pretty, it's not very helpful. Another thing you can do, and what you should do, this is a big one, is to go back through the notes you took in class and rewrite them with a pencil. Yes, a physical pencil, so that you get that physical movement as well. And so that you might end up with something that looks like this. And then what you can do is go back through and color code your notes by theme or pattern, something that might look like this. The key is super important down here, so you can go back and know what you were talking about when you took these notes. And finally, when you get really good at taking notes, you can color code them on the fly. Often, I've told my students to use a Kahoot or a Quizlet or some version of that. And those are great, but you have to be really careful. You have to make sure that your information is correct, and if you're using somebody else's, that their information is correct. Otherwise, you're going to be memorizing completely incorrect information. So don't just assume that it's right just because it's on the website. The best technique is to study something in order to teach it to someone else. If you can't teach it, you don't know it, and you need to study more. And since you need someone else there to teach your concepts to, it'd be great to have a study buddy too, as long as you both have the same goal in mind. So there's so many different study techniques that you could learn. These are just a few. And you can make a hybrid technique just for yourself. Combining parts of one with parts of another and making it work for you. And please Don't be afraid to ask your teachers or your counselors for help or guidance. That's what we're here for.